Vietnam, a Southeast Asian country known for its breathtaking landscapes, warm-hearted people, pleasant climate, and rich culture. My grandfather and I had the pleasure of visiting this beautiful country, and to this day, it's still one of the most incredible places I have ever visited.
Hey guys, there's a little gecko here.
Today's video is about a very unique Vietnamese animal I am honored to keep several of in my home, the black-breasted leaf turtles, Geoemyda spengleri. Black-breasted leaf turtles are among the world's smallest turtles, maxing out at around 11 centimeters or 4.3 inches. These animals were named after the color of their plastron being black and the cryptic leaf-like shape of their shell. Unfortunately, black-breasted leaf turtles are listed as endangered under the IUCN Red List, primarily due to habitat loss, but also because of collection for the food and pet trade. As such, these animals are quite uncommon in the pet trade, which is a shame as they are small, fairly hardy as captive bred individuals, and entertaining to observe. I'm thankful to be keeping a small group of captive bred G. spengleri, and it is my hope and intention that I will be able to reproduce them and contribute to their numbers in captivity. This little guy is Littlefoot, my second Geoemyda spengleri male. He's going to be an asset in my breeding project. Unfortunately, this guy hasn't had a proper introduction on my channel yet. I actually brought him home into the reptile room back in February when I filmed that video where we went to see the breeder producing the fringed leaf frogs, Crusiohyla craspidopus, and took home some of those tadpoles. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It was really interesting. I also mentioned that we made a pit stop for me to pick up this male Geoemyda spengleri. So now in today's video, you're gonna get to meet him, and what's even more exciting is I'm gonna introduce you to a new Reptiliatus brand partner, Leap. Leap was founded with one goal in mind: to design products from the ground up and to use science and education to make reptile keeping the absolute best experience it can be. I want to thank Tim Marks, founder of Leap, for entrusting me with sharing their vision, and I couldn't be more excited about working with you guys and seeing what the future holds in store for Leap. And if you want to see some Bill Nye the Science Guy style video content on keeping your reptiles correctly, definitely check out their YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, bud.
What are you doing, man? We're supposed to be shooting the lighting and par video.
Yeah, par.
No, reptile lighting.
No, golf.
No, par. Photosynthetically active radiation.
So not par.
Leap has been generous enough to provide Littlefoot here with an exciting new habitat we're going to talk about in just a sec, and set up to be the ultimate Geoemyda spengleri enclosure. Let's have a closer look now. One of the things I love doing on this channel is showcasing innovative and amazing products that help the industry evolve and mature. What if I told you that this lightweight yet large flat box contains an entire reptile habitat? Well, it does. And in today's video, we're gonna pop it open and set up an enclosure for Littlefoot, who you just saw back there. Now, if you guys are new here, I wanna let you all know that I make videos about specialty pets, such as reptiles, amphibians, and different kinds of cool invertebrates. So if that's something you're interested in learning about, definitely consider subscribing down below and dinging that little notification bell afterwards so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I do my best to post 2 videos a week. Setting up your Leap habitat is super easy. The only tools you're gonna need are a Phillips screwdriver and a hammer. For this video, I started off with a rubber mallet, but then realized quickly that I needed a metal hammer, so don't make the same mistake as me. Although I don't want it to be the focus of my video, I did want to show you some clips of me setting up my Leap habitat and how easy it was to put together. Honestly, all I did was follow their YouTube video tutorial, and it was a piece of cake. Within just a few minutes of folding and fitting parts together, I could see the habitat taking shape. The metal frame of the enclosure provides it with a great deal of structural stability and firmness. Once I got the doors on, it was time to have a look at the completed enclosure. It's looking pretty impressive. Lastly, all that was left to do was install the retention tray, which would allow us to add a drainage layer and bioactive soil substrate. And voila! Just like that, from flat pack to assembled and standing, we have a beautiful leap habitat ready for an animal to live in. The cross ventilation through the front, perfect. Leap was also generous enough to send me this large shipping box full of more products. Let's have a look and see what's inside. Several bags of living earth substrate, the exterior catch tray, Leap stickers, fogging system, misting system, and LED and T5 fixtures.
So we still have to take a look at the Leap programmable misting system, as well as the Leap programmable fogging system, which is really cool. I've yet to see a programmable fogging system from any competitor. I say we go ahead and set up this enclosure, get it ready for Littlefoot, and then we'll install our fogging and misting systems for the enclosure. So here goes, guys. It's gonna be so much fun.
The first thing we're gonna do is lay down some Hydroton as a drainage layer for our bioactive habitat. This layer will provide a place for excess water to go to and ensure that substrate isn't saturated and promoting anaerobic bacterial growth. Next goes the drainage mesh, which prevents substrate from falling into the Hydroton. And now we'll add substrate, Leap's Living Earth, which I'm told smells really good.
No word of a lie, this substrate actually smells good or completely neutral. It doesn't have a strong odor, it doesn't have a strong acidic smell. It's just like this neutral, fresh scent. I'm impressed.
The Leap Living Earth substrate is a custom mix of sustainable cocoa fiber, leaf litter, fir bark, charcoal, sphagnum moss, lichens, and leaves. It's designed to create an ideal base for a bioactive habitat, and it contains all the ingredients to provide nutrition to plants, microfauna, springtails, and isopods.
Pretty cool that the substrate actually has, looks like magnolia leaves blended into it. If you were to buy these, they're not exactly cheap. If you buy a bag of magnolia leaf litter from someone who sells botanicals. So it is kind of cool that they actually add all of this to the mix.
Now that our substrate is laid down in the enclosure, I'm going to start adding my scaping materials. I've collected a few really nice pieces of wood on my familiar hiking trail, and what I usually do with these is place them somewhere outside in the sun for a few days or weeks so that any critters or organisms leave them once they're really dried out. I've then personally found they're completely safe to use. If you're still worried after that, you can always bake the wood for half an hour to an hour at lower hot temperatures, but I leave this to your discretion. You decide what you're comfortable with. Now that we have the sort of layout I'm happy with, I'm going to start adding plants. Many species of bamboo can be found throughout Vietnam, so adding a small cutting here will hopefully give a more naturalistic home vibe to the enclosure. I also carefully selected some ground covering type plants that enjoy high levels of humidity. It is my hope that over time these plants will slowly carpet over the substrate. I did choose plants that I felt would hopefully be tolerant to some level of rummaging around from my cute little turtle, as these animals are quite the little bulldozers despite the small package they come in. I went ahead and added a few other pieces of moss covered wood to accent the enclosure, create a more dynamic experience for Littlefoot, and then I added a few more cuttings of the plants. Using a water bottle, I went ahead and gave each of the newly planted plants a little drink. Although I really love where this enclosure is going as far as the appearance, I decided to add a large or taller growing fern to take advantage of the height of this enclosure. Obviously, Littlefoot isn't going to be climbing up 24 inches in height, but the plants could. I love how this enclosure is looking, and it hasn't even grown in yet. Lastly, we're going to add one more fern to the right side of the enclosure, which again will hopefully start to grow up. As you can see, there's some new foliage coming out on it, so it should be reaching for the height of the enclosure in no time at all. Now that the enclosure is set up how we like it, we're going to add some leaf litter to the substrate as a dressing. This will break down over time thanks to the isopods and springtails that we'll add that'll hide amongst it, and it'll provide additional nutrients to the substrate and some ground cover should Littlefoot decide to dig under the foliage and sleep and rest there. Now I'm going to go ahead and give the enclosure a nice spray down. Next, we'll add a water dish for Littlefoot to wade in and drink from. Well friends, I'm ecstatic about how this enclosure turned out, and I'll give myself a pat on the shoulder because really this is a sweet setup. I think Littlefoot's going to do amazing in here. Lots of hiding spots for him to go in, dynamic opportunities to climb and explore. He's going to have an awesome time. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some Bioactive Crew. Here are some tropical white springtails that are going to go into the leaf litter right away. Lastly, we're going to add some Calico Porcilio scaber isopods to colonize the enclosure. These are large enough to help break down waste and also large enough to be considered a prey item for some enrichment purposes. I've actually seen my leaf turtles go nuts for isopods, so there's a good chance they're also a natural part of their diet in the wild. Now that this beautiful leap habitat is all set up for Littlefoot, we can move him in. But before we do that, we should set up our programmable misting system as well as our programmable fogger. Let's start with the misting system. I'm gonna unpack it here and check out what all the components are. Okay, very good. We have 2 nozzles, some hose. Okay, let's start by putting everything together. Assembly is pretty straightforward. Another thing I absolutely love is that the lid of the enclosure has these little circles you can punch out and install your nozzles into. Really easy to follow the instructions, and as always, Leap has a video on their YouTube channel if you want to follow that for an easy visual tutorial. What's really cool about the Leap programmable misting system is that you can actually choose what level of pressure you want to have the misting come out. You can set it to be more of a dripper or a fine mist, depending on your animal's needs. Lastly, we'll set up the programmable fogger. Now that we've filled our reservoir, I'm going to be installing the hose above the enclosure. The fogging system comes with suction cups that can be placed over the hose to facilitate positioning it on the side of the enclosure. So there we go. Our leap habitat is fully set up and ready for Littlefoot. We've installed our fogger and mister. Let's get him and see what he thinks about his new home. For today's question of the day, I'd like to ask you all, if you could set up your very own leap habitat as seen behind me, what would you house in it and why? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, I'll give your comment a heart and we can hopefully engage in a little bit of a conversation. Thanks. Okay everybody, it's time to coax Littlefoot out of his old enclosure and into his new one. I'm gonna offer him a super worm as a reward. Here you go, little guy. Now he's in a better spot for me to pick him up and bring him to the new habitat. I'm actually so excited to see how he'll do in here. I think he's gonna be so happy. It's such an enriched and lush green enclosure. It was pretty safe to assume that Littlefoot was going to be pretty shy to start with his head tucked in. After all, this is a very foreign and unknown place to him. But if there's one thing I know about Littlefoot and all my black-breasted leaf turtles, is that a little food stimulates them quite a bit. And when that's involved, they forget about their fears and shyness. Well, friends, if you ask me, we could almost argue that Littlefoot's already settled into his new home, and I can't tell you how happy I am to see him looking so happy. What a wonderful enclosure. Well, everybody, there you have it. I sincerely hope you enjoyed watching today's video. I want to take a moment again to sincerely thank Leap for sponsoring this video and providing me with an incredible Leap habitat, the Leap Mister and Timed Fogger, as well as the lighting system. I can already tell that Littlefoot here is gonna do amazing in this habitat, and what I'm excited to share with you is that our next collaboration with Leap is going to show you the full modular potential of this product. That's right. We're going to be setting up several more Leap habitats on a baker's rack and showing you how the whole modular system is so elegant, efficient, and effective, how you can automate everything to facilitate the care of your animals and create a planted bioactive ecosystem that just functions and works so well. We're gonna move all the leaf turtles into a large baker's rack of Leap habitats, and it's gonna look sick. Just wait and see how this one's gonna grow in. I'm confident that a lot of the plants I chose should do fairly well, even with a little bit of running about, and yeah, should be fine. Fingers crossed. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more builds, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content pertaining to leaf turtles, check out the playlist up above for more leaf turtle content. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And again, thank you to Leap for sponsoring the video. I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Have an awesome week. Take care, everybody.